doesn't make any sense.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the Unreligion live trading stream.
I was waiting for that dad joke forever, and I was so disappointed. Anyway, hey everybody, Sam Diter here with
Alexander Pascal.
In case you didn't know.
You're doing the intros now. Okay, I see how it is.
I am. That was what you get for that horrible joke. I'm just kidding, but not really. All right, so on today's live stream, what we're going to be going over is stereo panoramic rendering using the Stereo Panel plugin inside of UE4. So I'm going to show you guys how you can create stereo panel images, then make a very simple material that will allow you to make an image viewer, and then I will go briefly touch on how you can turn that image viewer into a video player so you can play stereo video. So that's what we're going to touch today on. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So first off, what is stereo panoramic rendering?
Oh, I don't know. You're the one telling all of us.
Well, you know, I hope so. So basically, at a very, very simple, very, very high level, basically it's taking one image for the left eye, one image for the right eye, using material to combine those images together to give you a binocular image that you then will be able to read depth information on. So the left eye and the right eye are going to be slightly different from one another, but when they come together, you will be able to see a full 3D looking image, but not have to pay any of the extra costs that you would for rendering or any CPU time or GPU time or anything like that, because it's just an image. For this method, what I'm going to be showing you guys is the SBS method, or that's the side-by-side. I call it the SBSS, the side-by-side single image. The reason I set it up this way is because this is the lowest point of entry for making a stereo viewer. I kept it a single image for the left eye and a single image for the right eye, because this means that you don't have to actually do any additional post work unless you want to outside of Unreal. You can just export these images out, bring them back into Unreal, and then you don't have to actually worry about anything like that.
Yeah, make it all within the same system.
One of the other reasons that this is such an awesome tool is it's great for things like Gear VR or Daydream or Cardboard, because it's a very, very low impact, low system requirement. So it's going to have a very low impact on your GPU and your CPU time. You are rendering quite large images. It's about 4096 by 2048 per eye.
Yep.
But in the grand scheme of things, that's actually a very, very tiny bit of resource to give you the type of depth and the type of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Detail?
Yes, there we go. The type of depth and details that you get from this. You can really, actually, you think that you're actually in the scene, and when in fact you're not paying any price for it at all. It's very, very cheap. So
yeah, this is a little bit different. So I'm sure a lot of you have gotten into the 360 video world before, and if you've ever done a standard 360 video in VR, it feels like you're sitting in a weird bubble. It really feels like there's a bubble video around you. But with this, since it's making that bubble around each eye, it gives you that false sense of depth. It's not actually rendering the geometry, but you get that sense of depth from geometry, with a couple of small caveats, of course. But we'll go over all that.
There are a few drawbacks to this tool, but we will cover those as we jump further into today's live stream. So one of the things I want to bring up to you guys is this page right here. And this is a blog post that the Ninja Theories guys did about how to use the plugin that I'm going to be going over today. Basically, what I've done is I've seen a few things in here, and I have greatly condensed all this information to give you the highlights of what's going on. But if you haven't had a chance to check this out, I highly suggest that you read this document, because it is packed full of useful information that you'll be able to use to solve any problem that you're trying to figure out when you go to do your stereo panel captures. So let's go ahead and jump into how we start to use this. So before we jump into this scene, I'm just going to make a new level right here, just so we have something to work with. I'm going to show you guys how to go ahead and make a capture. So just a simple scene like this. First off, we need to enable the plugin. So to enable the plugin, we go to Edit, Plugins, and I just click on Built-in, and I search for ST. And you can see that my movie capture is not enabled. So let me enable this and restart my editor really quick. And this will take a few seconds to boot back up.
Awesome background action.
The reason that we need to enable it is it becomes disabled by default. know if you guys know this or not, but one of the reasons these things come disabled by default is it makes the binary actually smaller.
Yes.
So you don't have to download as much stuff because you might never actually ever use this type of information. So now that we have the stereo panel plugin loaded, let me reload this level. And if I go ahead and I click, not in VR, but just a regular play, I'm going to hit the tilde or the backtick key to bring up my console. And if we type sp dot, we're going to get all of the stereo pano commands here. If you check a look at, I do believe it's a stereo pano CCP file. At the top of that file, it's the CCP or the H one. I always get those two confused. It has a list of all the commands that are listed here with a little blurb. I just, in our planning meeting right before this, had to input a task for me to go ahead and write a lot of this stuff up. So that will be on its way after I finish some PSVR stuff.
So docs are coming?
Yeah, docs are coming. I have it mostly written. I have to get it in there, but it's a big doc. It's a brand new section. So the first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to capture a screenshot. So all we need to do is just type stereo panel screenshot and hit the enter key, and it's going to take a screenshot. Now, right out of the box, it's capturing something like 4096 by 2048 per eye. So this is going to be probably a 20 to 30 second capture to capture both eyes because it's doing this in real time on the GPU. There are a bunch of settings that you can use to lower the resolution of the capture. And what I would suggest doing that for is to make sure that you've got your shot set up correctly before you spend a lot of time running out a bunch of captures. Capture them at a lower resolution just so you can make sure you have what you want, then crank the resolution back up.
So just to kind of jump in here really fast, that particular CPP file you were talking about was Stereo Panorama Manager.cpp.
Yes.
I looked it up really quickly.
So that's the inside of that one. What you're going to find is at the top you'll find the commands, and then there'll be a little comment with what the command actually does. So now I've taken the...
Can you speak faster? Sarcastically, they ask.
I've taken the screen... I mean, I could if you wanted me to.
Yeah, I know. Bloody Bobby getting sarcastic. We will do it, just to spite you.
All right. So I've actually taken the image already. So if I come in here, go to our stereo panorama. I was actually in my, my saved folder. Let me go back one more. So my Gear VR examples, my saved folder, my stereo panorama, today's date, and you see that I have a left and a right. It looks funny here because it's actually showing an alpha channel, which is coming through weird in the preview.
I see.
That's not, when we re-import this back into Unreal right now, it's not going to look insane. So let me grab these two images, we pull them back inside of Unreal here, and
that was like super. So like those were already pre-made, or did you just make those right now? Like,
I just made them right now.
I didn't even see it. It was like so fast. I was like reading chat for like
30
2
seconds.
My God.
I can make it go faster, but the image quality kind of suffers. So boom, here we go. Now this little...
Oh, bring it over. They can't see what you're doing.
That's right. I forgot. So here's what it looks like. Now this little...
So yeah, you brought the asset in, double click it, this opens
this little
up.
ball right here is my player camera, or my player. Now, once you've opened up the image, one thing that you need to do, or you will get this really nasty seam going down the side of your whatever you happen to display this on, is you need to come over here to your MIPGen settings and just go no MIP maps. It's going to strip all the MIP maps out. Now, the reason you don't want this to MIP out is you're going to be putting it on a fairly large sphere to wrap around the scene. The end of that sphere is going to be quite far away from the player start, which means that the sphere is going to think that it needs to go a few MIP levels down because it's fairly large and fairly far away, but that's not true. You don't want it to do that, because if you do, you will start to, you'll get a line down where the two poles meet, and I'll show this off in a second. So there's the left eye, so we strip the MIPs from the left eye. Let's strip the MIPs from the right eye. Come back over here, and we will strip the MIPs by saying no MIPs. Okay, now that's done. So let's go over here to our materials. And now that I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to duplicate this one. And we are just going to call this one test image. All right, let me open them up really quick. And I'm going to do this off screen so I can more easily navigate. So just give me 1 second while I switch these really quick, and I'll show you what I did when I bring it back on screen. Okay. All I did was I simply came up here to my left and my right eye, and I switched to my left one, and I switched to my right one. And that's it. That's all I did. I need to come back here and open up my maps folder really quick to go back to my stereo room. And yeah, sure, we'll save the stuff. I'll just delete it later. All right.
I'm just going to throw this out here for everyone who's watching us live. You can throw any questions you want at us at all. We can go back and explain anything again if you have questions, anything like that. Just let me know in chat. I am watching, and I'm grabbing all these questions that start with questions and putting them in the Q&A section.
So here is one stereo panel that I captured from inside of Showdown, and you can see that it shows the entire scene. I don't know if you can look, if you see right here, it's a little bit hard to see in here. You should see a line separating, and you can see it right here. It's probably very, very hard to see. But what that line is that's actually the difference between the left eye and the right eye. And I'll show you that 1 second here after I apply this material.
Oh,
so I just want to apply this really quick. So you can see, boom, there's my test image that I just created before.
Oh, it was funny for a second there. I was like, well, you just got rid of the image. We're back to the starter room.
No, I just wanted to put that down. Now, look down here. You see this right here, this kind of swirling effect that I'm getting as my mouse doesn't want to go with me, so it's kind of swirling right there. This is actually an effect of this particular type of capture method. There isn't really a way to solve this because it's pinching because it's on the very extremes of the poles.
Yep.
There's multiple ways you could go about fixing this. You could try to paint this out by hand inside of Photoshop using the content-aware fill, or you could just put a little bit of a black gradient down there, starting with black at the bottom and then going up. So you will have kind of, a little bit of blackness down there, but you won't have this disconnect when you go to look at this inside of VR. So, but that was it. I took the command SP capture. I got my 2 images, which were popped out into my folder right here. I imported those into UE4. I removed their maps, and then I added them to my shader as 2 separate textures, and that's it. This is what I got out. It's really that simple. Like, I was trying to think, are people going to think it's that simple? Trying to figure out a way to come up with a way to explain this where it doesn't sound as simple, and I really couldn't because it's literally that simple to do. So let's talk a little bit about the material that I used to display this stuff off. So let's see here, stereo image. Let me bring this guy over here and full screen him for you guys. So this is it. This is the material right here. This material, like I said before, I was thinking people are going to be like, dude, this is way too simple. to be showing off an effect like this, I thought you would need something that's even more complex, and you don't. It's literally just this simple. So let's talk about what we're doing here. So what we're doing right here in this section is we're getting a camera vector, we're multiplying it by the image direction. Now what this allows us to do is, say for some reason your image comes out upside down, or your left eye is flipped, or for whatever reason you have some type of error. What this will allow you to do is this will allow you to flip the axis, either in the X, Y, or the Z. So the easiest for me to demonstrate this off is, let me flip the Z axis really quick by just turning it to a 1. If I turn this to a 1, you see it's upside down now. Right now, if I turn this back to a -1, I've effectively flipped the image. Now again, this allows me to just operate inside of Unreal. I don't have to go inside of Photoshop. Now, if this was a more complex material, with a lot more shaders and not coming in at 67 instructions, but say maybe it was 267 instructions, then you might want to consider flipping this inside of your DCC because you're going to want to be able to save every single instruction count that you can. You look like you have a question.
Well, no, you just lost me for a second there.
Okay. What did I lose you
Oh,
on?
no, sorry.
You. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, no, me personally, I was like, I'm learning a lot very quickly right now.
So after we multiply these, the camera vector by the image direction, we're going to put this into a lat to long. This is a node that was made by our resident TA wizard, Ryan Brooks. And what this does is you actually use this on HDR images when you want to wrap them around something. Okay? So since my images, and let me come back to one of the images really quick and show you guys what I'm talking about here. it's really easy to lose the mouse over here sometimes. And
It's a lot of screen.
we'll turn off the alpha here. So
Whoa. There you go.
what's happening is this image, imagine if I had a sphere. This image is actually being wrapped around a sphere, being taken in little quadrants based on a sphere. So normally when you'd have an image like this, you'd be dealing with a cube map, and you'd have your six faces, right, laid out in a cross.
Yeah.
And that's very easy to remap to something.
Yeah.
But with the lat to long, what this is going to allow us to do is it's basically going to allow us to wrap that around like we would a cube map, but instead of it being laid out in the the typical cube map cross, we now have an image that's laid out that's completely unfolded.
Yeah.
So there is it's not really different than a it's giving you the same results as a 6 cross. It's just a different way to do it.
Okay.
Okay. We then feed the results of this lat to long into our left and to our right eye. Okay. And these are I made these into texture parameters so that I could then make a material instance that I could easily swap through. So I just press a button and boom, a new scene is loaded up. Press another button, boom, a new scene is loaded up. And then we go up here to our screen position, which we're breaking out the red channel. So basically what we want to do for this is imagine our screen is a square, and we have our left eye and our right eye, but we need to split this down the center, but it always needs to be split down the center, but also based upon where we're rotating. So if I rotate my head this way, the center line still needs to stay within the center. It can't deviate this way or can't deviate that way, or it's going to throw off the stereo.
And then you throw up.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yep.
So what we're doing here is we're ensuring, that every time the player rotates his head, every time the VR headset is rotated, that we will be drawing a line directly down the center to allow us to still have our left and our right eyes without either one interfering, thus throwing off the stereo.
Oh, okay.
This is all fed into a conditional statement. This will be the one time where using an if statement isn't going to cause you too many problems. If statements are very iffy when it comes to using them.
He went there, folks.
That's right, I did.
If statements are iffy.
You can run into some severe logic problems, or you can run into some massive performance issues using if statements if you don't use them correctly, if you're trying to use them to do something like dynamic branching of your material or something like that. Especially with most if statements, it's better to keep them as simple as possible. And this is actually one of the best examples of a simple way to use the if statement. So inside of our A, we're feeding in our screen space texture coordinates. And into our B, we're pleading our 0.5. So what this is saying is basically we're going to have a left side, we're going to have a right side, and we want it split exactly down the middle, going from 0 to 1, which would be 0.5. Now, on the main material node, there's a couple options that you need to be aware of, especially if you're on 413 or later. First off, for this, we're going to make it unlit. The reason that we picked unlit is because the lighting's already pre-baked into the image because it was done inside of the capture. So we don't want to add any additional lighting information to this material because it will actually cause the image itself to come out maybe a different color or slightly different hue because you're injecting lighting information on top of it. Making it unlit ensures that does not happen. The other thing that we want to do is we want to turn on fully rough. This will make it cheaper. This is more important for a mobile device such as Gear VR. I scroll back up to the top here. So fully rough. This is more important for when this goes on Gear VR or any type of mobile device. This will remove one texture sampler and a number of instructions, which is actually pretty heavy-duty optimization, especially on mobile devices. Translucency we don't need to worry about. Usage we don't need to worry about, but under mobile, there's one very, very, very important one that we need to worry about, and this is full precision. Now, what full precision does is, on a mobile device, since speed is king, we're actually reducing the amount of interpolators to 16 from 32 by default, so everything will run as fast as possible. Now, if you're using a solid color or slightly large bands of color, you're not going to notice this step down from 32 to 16. But if you're using an image like this, which contains a lot of varied pixel information, stepping down in that manner or halving basically the precision, you're going to notice massive stepping on your image. And what I mean by stepping is you'll see some of the pixels, but they'll be very jagged or elongated, and everything will look like it came from Doom, because everything will look very pixelated. And the reason that I harp on this so much is I spent a day trying to figure out why my image was coming out so pixelated when I deployed this to Gear VR versus what I was seeing on the screen itself when I viewed it on my Rift. The problem was I didn't have full precision on, so usually in Unreal, you have to enable checkmark boxes to get performance back. This one is a checkmark box that we've enabled for you automatically. So just be aware, full precision needs to be enabled. Fully rough needs to be turned on, and you want to set it to an unlit shader. And that's just going to make this image a lot cheaper to render, especially on lower end devices. So let me go ahead and delete this guy really quick. I'm going to come back here to my blueprints. Now I made this awesome little blueprint called the Photo Viewer, and I did this for Oculus Connect. And what this guy is going to do is, let me just pop into VR really quick and I can show you guys. So VR preview, and let me full screen this for you. There we go. Put on my HMD. And let me say yes to the acknowledgement that I won't be a Yahoo. And if you guys can see on screen, I have the real-time, or the realistic rendering apartment here. And if I hit the W key, you see I've got Showdown showing here. And I'm actually looking at this with, okay. Just wanted to make sure it was going full screen for you guys.
Yep, you're good.
I have the Bullet Train main gameplay area. This one's one of my favorites. This is the landscape mountains, so it feels like I'm in a hang glider looking around. And if I actually look up, if you guys can see that on the screen, if you see where there's some pinching up there at the top, that's the problem that I'm talking about. I don't know how easy, you can see that right there. That pinching that you're seeing in the middle, that's coming from where the image actually comes together. And the only way to really fix that would be to paint it out by hand inside of Photoshop. It just happens to be a drawback for the method. This one right here is actually my favorite out of all the ones that I did, because the capture came out just absolutely spectacular. It's very hard to see, obviously, on a 2D monitor, but I showed it to Alex, and everything just seems to pop and have so much more depth in it than any of the other ones. I think it's because of the hand-drawn nature of it. Your brain isn't expecting it to look lifelike. Therefore, your brain is more willing to accept things that are out of place than with, say, the realistic rendering one, the apartment one, when you're like, ooh, that floor doesn't look right, or that doesn't look like leather. Your brain's very good at rejecting that information. But with this one, because it's very stylized, your brain is more willing to accept the fact that some things could be incorrect. So let's talk about, so we've talked about our settings for our material. We have talked about how to set up the material. I showed you guys how to do a capture. Let me see, what else do we have here for you guys? Let me check out my notes really quick.
Actually, a couple people, Sporks and what's this other name? 51 Monum, are both curious for you to show again how you got those original two
the original two images. Okay, so this is really easy.
Because I was like, I'm sitting here next to him, and when he did it, it was so fast. I was like, wow, it's that easy.
So I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, so what I did, if anybody wasn't paying attention, I made a brand new level.
Call them out a little.
Well, I was gonna call this one guy named Alex out, but just kidding. So what I did is I made a brand new level, and then when I did that, I went up here to the top. I kicked myself out of VR mode, and I just clicked play. Okay, so I have my level right here. I'm going to bring up the console by hitting the tilde key. I'm going to type SP dot, and then I'm going to use my arrow keys to come up here to panoramic screenshot. Press enter, and it's going to take the screenshot, and that's what it's doing right now.
And it outputted into
I'll show you guys where it outputs just after when it's done, and then go over some of the SP quality commands, some of the SP commands. That's what we'll do after this one.
Alrighty, and then, so what's the folder it shows up in?
It shows up under your saved folder.
Okay.
So you go to your project under saved. You will see a brand new folder called Stereo Pano. Inside of that folder will be another folder with today's date, and I do believe the time that you captured it, but in military time and 24-hour time. And then the other cool thing is that each time that this is captured, you will get another folder with the two images in. Okay, so my capture is done. So let me hit escape really quick.
And the capture comes from where the camera was when you hit
Yes,
to
so
do
you can do a capture based off of matinee/sequencer track,
Yeah.
or you can eject your player, like you can eject from your player, navigate around where you want to in the world, and take the pano screenshot from there, or you can take it from your player's location.
And you can also the Night Watcher is asking, can you capture a panoramic video in real time?
Yes, you can, and I'll show you guys how to do that. I have
Alright.
some examples of video. I was trying to get the encoding. There was something wrong with my encoding, so I couldn't get my. Unfortunately, I could not get my showdown video that I export to play correctly. But I will show you guys how to do all of that. I'm not sure what's wrong. It's something with the encoding. So, all right, here we've got back to my project. So I'm at my Gear VR, my main folder. So if I go into Saved, and I go here to Stereo Pano, so this was the first one I had. This is the second one. I open it up, and here are my two files. So I have my left eye, and I have my right eye.
Cool.
Left eye,
So,
right eye.
so the whole process is go into plugins, activate the Stereo Pano plugin, then it's just type in SP.
Restart the editor.
Yeah, restart the editor because it's going to make you restart it. Then you type in the console SP dot, and then just go up to the screenshot option, and then wherever the camera is, it'll spin around.
That's right.
And then take the pictures and then output them to the folder. And that's the whole process, and it happens in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, it takes about because these images are like I said before, 4096 by 2048. It takes a fairly long time to output this, but I can show you guys a way that we can do this even quicker. Let's stop that there, and we'll play this one again. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go SP dot panoramic quality, and we're going to go preview. Okay, and now we're going to take our screenshot and give it a second here.
Processing.
All right, so that took, if you come over to your log, you can see that one took 7 seconds to render out. And if I come over here and for some reason my left click is not working. Hey, buddy. Okay, that's weird. 1 second, guys. My mouse decided to go all crazy on me, so I'll do it the old school way. And come here to Saved. Come down to Stereo Pano. I've got my third folder. Now I have these ones, which is, you can see it's obviously quite smaller. This is only 720 by 360. So again, what I did is I can do it back here again. I'm going to hit the up arrow key to look at the last, to pull up my console's history. And 1 second, I gotta.
So you can set quality, and then that's how you could maybe do a 4K image?
Yes.
Okay.
With the quality settings, though, you have preview, average, and improved. Improved only goes up to 1440. So what I suggest you do, the default ones are very high. And one of the kind of a feature, kind of a bug, I'd rather have it work like this than have these values stored somewhere, is if you restart the editor, your values are going to be lost. So if I screw something up, if I start inputting a bunch of stuff and going really crazy, sometimes you'll get vertical or horizontal banding in your images. And you need to increase your, I think it's like your slice FOV to get rid of them. It takes a little work to figure out what you have to actually, because each scene is going to be different. But the cool thing about this plugin, or some might not think it's cool, is that when you restart the editor, it resets all of these values back to the highest version, back to that 24 or 4096 by 2048 for each eye. So that means that feel free to experiment as much as you want to, and if you're like, dude, I don't know what I did and I can't get back to normal, kill it, reopen it, and then start all over again.
That's convenient.
One of the things that the guys in the one of the guys did in this, if I scroll down here, once you've figured out the settings that you want, you can do something similar to what they did. And they basically added all of the SP commands as a console command on inside of the blueprint. So what this will allow them to do is every time they open this level back up to take a capture, they're not going to have to worry about setting up 30 commands. They just go and it will output. It'll output to the directory that they want it to go to, and the image and the quality that they desire. Okay, so let's see. Let's let me show one other thing here. If I go to my image viewer and my maps and my stereo room, I want to go to this guy. Is this going to work? No, it's not going to work the way I want. So just give me 1 second here. I want to show you guys something, how to solve a few issues, because there's a few things with this tool. While it does some things absolutely awesome, there are a few little things that you have to be aware of. The first one that I want to talk to you about is screen-based effects. If you can see, I have this line right here where the fog isn't really lining up. It's probably because this is fog that's placed on a plane, which is supposed to be camera facing. So when you have a camera facing effect or effect that happens in screen space, so screen space reflections or maybe screen space AO, when you're capturing this, you're taking little segments of the image all the way around, and you're taking them as small as possible and as close together so you get the best stereoscopic information that you can. But because of this way that this is captured, screen-based effects are not going to work. So light shafts, they won't work because you're not, it's happening in screen space, but you're not capturing in screen space. You're capturing the entire world. So I'm doing 360 degrees around me, and because screen space is only going to be an X and a Y position, there is no depth at extremely high level. One could argue that there is, but because that information isn't available when you're doing the capture, you're going to get artifacts. So things like lens flares, depth of field. Even though depth of field is not a screen-based effect, it's still something that isn't going to capture properly. Screen-spaced AO isn't going to capture properly. Screen-space reflections aren't going to capture properly. You're like, whoa, what if I need reflections? Well, you could set up the planar reflections. You can still use reflection probes. A lot of stuff and the other things you need to be aware of is certain effects aren't going to capture very well. GPU particles used to have issues capturing with them. I haven't actually tried them in 4.13. But in 4.12, they had issues capturing them. And it was just to fix that, all you had to do was convert them to CPU particles. The reason that they were having a problem capturing is GPU particles are done on the GPU. The stereo panel renders are actually also done on the GPU. So you were getting some disconnects in between the time. So it would be rendering stuff out, and because you're hitting the GPU so hard, what you're going to end up doing is you could get a little stuttering, or you could get things not to play back at the same rate. So, again, some things to be aware of. Screen space reflections, screen-based effects, such as camera-facing planes or camera-facing particles, not going to work not going to capture very well. So come up with a different method to do that. Let's see here. So we talked about the pinching at the poles. One of the other things I want to talk about is the manner in which this plugin was written. We got this from a developer that wrote it for something that they needed to do. Now, because of that, it was written, a lot of stuff that we write here at Epic, we write it so that it'll reach as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So we try to account for every single thing that this could be used in, like capsule shadows, for example. Daniel Wright spent a bunch of extra time to make sure that they work inside of VR. Now, when you... See, how do I want to say this? When you go to use the Stereo Panel plugin, the way that they had it set up, it didn't actually output the true color of the scene. It's actually outputting the low dynamic range output before it's being post-processed. Now, luckily, the guys from Ninja Theory, they had this problem as well, and I've got to scroll somewhere. I don't remember where the code is for it. Might be right here. No, that's combining the Alice's. Here it is right here. This code right here will allow the camera to take the post-process settings from within the world. Now, this would be something that you would need to put in yourself. I've done this. I did it last Epic Friday. I just copied the code over. It wasn't very difficult to do. But if that is something that you're like, I really want to do this. I really want to get this done, but I don't want to have to do the code, then just take the image inside of Photoshop and mess with the levels and the exposure. The other thing that you can try and do is mess with the indirect lighting of the post-process. That's one of the things that I did on Showdown to try to get this to capture out, and it will boost it up a little bit, but you're still going to get these really dark darks, and it looks like it's a little bit underexposed. So just popping it into Photoshop, raising the exposure a little bit, will help with that greatly.
Just going at like the curves levels.
Yeah, just going to the curves
Okay.
levels. You could probably also do it inside of the material editor as well, by using some of like, there's an S curve and there's a levels thing. There's like a poor man's levels in there.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be heavy. It's just like in my mind, it's like go ahead and just do it in the image, and then you don't have to process the extra little bit, you know. But yeah.
So, is there any more questions about?
Oh, a ton.
Images?
I was just
Okay.
gonna like give you a second to get through all the
So
stuff.
let's
in
answer
case
some
you-
of the questions
in case
about
you answered those.
images, and then I will jump into showing you guys how to do a movie.
All right, cool. Images. Is it possible to get the capture higher than 4K? Well, we've been using it on 3D renders, but the aliasing on the gear is horrible.
You could output it to an 8K image. I'm not sure if you'd have to go in and edit some of your INIs to expose that, or if you would just have to up the capture res. I'm pretty sure you could just up the capture res, but I've never captured that high because 2048 by 4096 has always been high enough to view on the Gear VR without any aliasing.
Yeah.
Or what I think they're actually experiencing is this issue, because this is exactly what it sounds like they're seeing, where they didn't have the full precision turned on. If you're on 413, before you start to try anything else, go and look and enable full precision and then redeploy to your gear, because without this turned on a device, it looks really bad. It's got some severe aliasing on it.
All right. Cool. That's just more information about the other question. Okay.
So one of the things, I see one here, it's like, what's the point of doing still images for art purposes, showcase? I just don't get why you do it in still images. Still images actually have this, and it's very, very hard for you to understand why I just picked to do still images viewing this on a 2D monitor. This would be great for somebody that is, say, for one of our Paragon characters that's coming out. We take some photos of this. We throw it up on the App Store. People download it. They're able to view it in 3D. They can change the images. They can, change different images. This is a very, 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 very low point to entry to getting content or getting images or getting people interested in your game, especially your VR game.
Yeah.
This is something that you could make in the weekend and release in the Google Play Store over the weekend to drum up more interest in your VR game. Or if you're out and you're looking for investors and they're like, yeah, what does your VR game look like? Well, instead of having to bring around this entire rig, you take a couple stereo panel images, you throw them up in the viewer, you give them to your investor or your prospective publisher, and you say, look, here is some stuff that you can see from our game. Here's what our character looks like. Here's one of our levels. And this way, it really sells that this is in VR. The only thing that's missing is head tracking because of what device you happen to do. But I will get in and I'll start looking at stuff, and then I'll be like, what's my frame rate doing? Or is this too expensive? Forgetting that it's just literally an image that I have mapped to a sphere. So I'll start to go in and think, okay, is there a way I need to optimize this? No, I don't, because it's already running as fast as humanly possible, because it is the lowest point of entry that you could get to render something in VR.
Yeah, this is definitely the lowest barrier to entry, and yeah, like you were saying, it's better for stereo screenshots, basically, if you want to be able to show something off. I would say that it has 100 applications in the world of enterprise, in the world of serious games, or nonfiction gaming, as Tim calls it, but in the world of just showing something off. But I can definitely see, like if I was going to go into Outlast style VR experience, and someone's trying to explain how awesome it is to me, it's going to be hard to just look at a picture and be like, well, how is it different from other Outlast? Like, no. Here's like the 3D view of it. Take a look around. You'll see the atmosphere feels very solid in this.
One of the other things that Alex, he mentioned the enterprise. This is also great for people that do architectural visualizations.
Yeah, ArcViz, because you bring this to your client and you set it up like a ViewMaster, like one of those old.
You can use a ViewMaster. You could use Google Cardboard. You could use Gear. You could use Daydream. Any phone. You could even use one of the Chinese phones that you can get on Alibaba with one of the Chinese viewers, just as long as it supports Android. And you can run UE4 on it,
Yep.
you will be able to show this off to people. So this is a super low entry point to getting into VR.
Yeah, just really, really simple. And like, if anything, you should think of it as like you went out with your 360 camera and, take a picture of your vacation, whatever, bam, throw it into this, render it out, let your friends take a look around. It's just a 1001 simple little applications, not a ton of like awesome runtime stuff. Like, you're not going to interact with this world, of course. It's just images, but it is really great for just visualizing, especially in the world of like literal, like just look at stuff kind of applications like enterprise, like ArtViz.
Somebody wanted to look at the photo viewer script really quick, and this is it right here.
All right.
It's literally
Just asking that.
it's a right gamepad trigger press,
Yes.
and then there's a multi-gate, and literally all I'm doing is I am setting the material.
Yeah.
Setting the material. Now, I do have
There's a question from Atlas Bay VR.
Where did it go? I have this touch, what I'm doing here, because I made this for Oculus Connect, so I wanted to be able to use the side buttons. So basically, we do our input touch. We figure out if our start position and our end position, if that's greater than 30, so we've actually made a move, we're going to go and we're going to start firing all of this stuff off, okay? So we're going to swipe to the left here. Next, then we're going to set the material. We're going to keep on going, setting the material, going to the next one, setting the material, until we've looped all the way back around. I'm going to try to post, I'll talk with Alex about where I can post this when I'm done with it, because it's more or less done. A lot of stuff that I've been adding recently has been just kind of icing on the cake. So that's it, though. It's very, very, very simple to do. I will leave it up here for just a second. So let me see if I can zoom in on each piece. So if you guys have the ants in your pants to get it ready going today, you can kind of copy what I'm doing here.
Is there a scheduled release or giving out of this? Because we can always put it in the forums and their little spot there, and then I can distribute it from there if you'd like.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
That'll work. So
make
that's
this
the photo viewer.
available on
Again,
forums.
this is a super low entry, very easy thing to put together. I actually built this during Epic Friday one day, and then I've just been slowly iterating on it since then.
All right, so next question. Let's see here. I don't know what this exactly means. Maybe you do the compatible output with social media 360 viewers, question mark.
So I haven't actually tried what he's basically talking
Like the
about.
Facebook
Yeah,
VR
like
stuff.
Facebook VR, or
Yeah.
will this upload to Google Google VR?
Facebook feed 360 videos.
Yeah, Facebook 360 videos. Actually, it totally will. If we come down here and we scroll down,
What?
we keep on scrolling. Where did the video go? And I scroll too far. Maybe it's up here somewhere.
Oh, yep.
And I think it is this guy right here. Hold on.
Oh,
Wait. One of these is a 360 video.
maybe it's the one that says 360 at the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Wrong one. Sorry.
I'll say. That title gives it away.
It's so inappropriate for my eyes. That's why you can't read it. Let's I'll make it a little crazy here. So, and I'll give Alex this this link as well, so you guys can read this. Is if you just type in UE4 Ninja Theory.
I got it up over here,
Okay.
but I will put this in the YouTube description when it goes up. But I'm also putting in chat right now.
So there we go. This is a full on YouTube. You will have to use YouTube's. They have a little special metadata tool that will add a specific piece of metadata to your thing right here, so that it will work properly with the 360 videos. But that's all that you should have to do once you have your videos. If I pause really quick. So if we look at this guy, if you look down there at the preview, you see how there is one image on the top and one image on the bottom. You need to figure out what it is for YouTube that you have to do. So whether it's top over top or side by side. it's going to matter because that's how the viewer is going to use it. But that's just simply like I just move these around inside of After Effects. Let's see, what else do we have here?
The Night Watcher's been asking a few questions here about making a portal using this. Could you have a camera in another area of your level showing up this kind of display somewhere else? I mean, I guess it's more like a render to
I mean, you could, but I would
texture.
do it with a cube map because I think it would be cheaper.
Yeah.
It'd also be smaller. I'd have smaller because I could do it like 256 by 256 or like 1024 by 1024. And I could also still MIP all that stuff down. I wouldn't have like one giant, huge texture into memory. But that's the thing about game design is there's a million different ways to do something. While I can't think off the top of my head right now how I would approach that, because I already know how I would approach it using a cube map to do that. One of the things that this would be really useful is, say you set up like 5 or 6 photospheres of a walkthrough of a house, and then you had, on gaze, you would move forward, and like one photosphere would be, you'd move forward into the next photosphere while this one behind you disappears.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. And actually, I've had people kind of propose that before to me, like in Unreal, to make a system of kind of those icons, like in some VR stuff in Gear, because it doesn't have the controllers, they'll just have you look at something, and when you look at it, it'll fill up a little loading bar, and once it fills all the way up, it'll shift you into that other view.
Yep, it'll do a locomotion that kind of brings you into the next location that you want.
That'd actually be a really good generic asset to make for the marketplace if anybody wants to make $5, you know what I mean? It's a good idea.
So let me go ahead and we'll switch gears really quick. I want to show you guys the stereo video viewer. So let me open up my map really quick. Yeah, we're not going to save that. And let me go to my video. So we obviously, I have to strip all these videos out of here because I do not have the rights to them because I needed something to test with.
Let's get like a bunch of like Star Trek and Space Wars and
Star Trek Wars.
The Galaxy Quests.
Let's see.
lots of clips from movies.
Is this going to be working? Hold on one second here.
Do you need me to be a guinea pig there?
Could you guys see that on screen?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so this is the SS Mace Windu.
The SS.
I'm just kidding. We were making a bunch of Star Wars and Star Trek jokes the entire time I was making this, and I was showing it off to people. So what I did for that guy, basically, let me do this really quick. Hold on. File, new level. We'll go to this. So I'm going to play. Okay. So I'm going to bring up my console. I'm going to type SP dot, and instead of screenshot, I'm going to go to movie, and I'm going to give it a frame range, 0 to 5. I'm going to press enter. And now I'm just going to sit here and wait for it to pop out 0 to 5. Now, this is going to take quite a bit. That's why I only did 0 to 5, because it's rendering out, 4096 by 2048 for each eye. So it's going to take a little while for it to finish up the render. But when it is done, and which it looks like this one is because I lowered the quality, and it just crashed on me.
Oh.
So let's send that and restart.
Yep.
But if I come back over here.
Doing it live. We managed to kill it once. It's been a while actually since we managed to do that live.
It hasn't output it just yet.
Thanks, Clint, for the vote of confidence.
We will definitely skip the restore. All right, so let's go back. Let's do a new level here. All right, SP dot. I gotta look for my notes really quick because I always forget what the commands are.
Yeah.
Come here, you booger. SP dot quality, and we're gonna say preview. Okay, and we're gonna play this guy, and then we are just gonna do. We'll do preview one more time just to make sure that it went in there. Panoramic movie, and we'll do 0 to 5 again. Wait, 0 space 5, and press enter, and hopefully this will take this time and not crash. And we're just going to have to wait for a second while that one builds. So let's look over some more of the questions while that outputs those images. It shouldn't take ridiculously long.
We have quite a few of these coming through here.
Okay, so here's one that I can actually answer right now. Does the Stereo Panoramic plugin work with video playback yet? The plugin is used to capture. It's not used to display. So you use the Stereo Pano Capture plugin to capture all of the images that you then want to play back in a video, but the plugin itself has no effect on how the video is played back or how things in the video work. If you're having problems capturing things, capturing effects or dynamic materials, you're going to want to use the dash fixed time step and set that to 60 FPS, okay? Because what's basically happening when you're getting all of these errors is most likely something that you're trying to capture is running at a different frame rate than what you're actually trying to capture. Running fixed time step will say everything has to obey the same time rate. I don't care what you are, I want you running at 60 FPS at all times.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
That's just a good overall function to know about.
Yeah. One of the other things that this leads me into that I also want to talk about is doing captures across multiple computers. Or let's talk about some of the things that you should avoid doing when trying to do movie capture. One, don't do camera cuts, okay? I'm not saying you can't have a camera cut. What I'm saying is...
It's going to be jarring.
Yes, and it will screw up your capture, too.
Oh, yeah.
So if you've got A, B, C, and D, and your camera path that goes from A to B, C to D, D back to A, right? And that's your whole camera loop. It makes an entire loop like that. For this, what you're going to want to do is do one shot A to B, one shot B to C, one shot C to D, one shot D back to A. Okay? And you'll want to shoot all of those on their own. This way you can ensure that everything's going to be captured correctly. The other thing that this opens you up to do is Unreal by itself is non-deterministic, which means each run you're going to get different results. You're going to get your particles might fly in a different direction. They might land and tumble to the left instead of the right. For the next run, they might tumble to the right instead of the left. It's non-deterministic. Because of this, trying to capture one of these things in multiple passes on the same computer or on different computers, you might have one computer that captures, say, frames 0 to 100 and all the effects fall to the left. Well, on the other computer from 101 to 200, all the effects maybe happen to fall on the right. And that's because you're doing two separate computers which have basically two different random seeds going on there.
Yeah.
So how to alleviate this is when you go to render this out, if you're doing it on multiple computers, pick the path and have one computer render that one particular camera cut. So if you know that you have A, B, C, and D, then this computer is going to render A to B, this computer is going to render B to C, C to D, D to A. So this way you can ensure that everything that you see in the shot is going to line up. And that's actually one of the things that they talk about in the blog post. Because it actually wasn't something that I had considered until I started messing around with it. And I'm like, wait, my particles, like between these two machines, like they're not lining up. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? Because I don't like to read sometimes. I was just skimming through, figuring out, I was like, you know, I like to fly by the seat of my pants sometimes, figuring out how everything was working. And then if I would have taken a step back and read about what was going on, they would have said, oh, I actually need to capture this way.
Got particles going all over the place.
Or particles just not working at all. So I think, yep, this guy's done. So let me escape out of that really quick.
Cool.
And if we come over here to my stereo pano, see I got a new folder. And now I have my left eye, which left, is he going through? Yeah, my left eye and then my right eye. And you see that I've got, goes all the way to frame 5. And then here, this is kind of cool. This is telling me my frame number and then the amount of time that it took to render each one of these frames. So we're looking at like 8.5, 10, 9, 10. And that, again, that's to render each eye. And that's relatively fast, especially considering that this is a real-time engine. So now that you've seen how we've captured it, let's go back over here to my maps and we're going to go down here to the material. And I'm going to open up this material for you guys. So here's the material that was made for the for displaying the video. So we need to display the left eye and the right eye. It's very similar to the setup that we did before. So this is splitting out our screen space. The reason we have a seal in here's seal takes it down and rounds it. We're just making sure that we either get the left eye or the right eye and that there's no additional information left over in there.
Yeah, no reason to blur those.
So this is the UV setup for, you know, we need to basically project the left eye and the right eye, but we're doing a plane that's not split in half, so there's UVs on the entire plane. So what this little part of the code here is doing is it's basically saying which side of the mesh we want the image to be splayed on. This is some debug stuff just to figure out, so you can look, because sometimes your stereo might get inverted, and it's hard to tell. You're like, I don't know if this is inverted or not, so these are just some controls to control that. This is the video file to play. This is linked up to, if I click on the go-to, this is linked up to our video player, and that's what actually powers this entire thing. That's what makes it work. This letterbox is literally just giving us a black and white bar that goes across the top and the bottom. You could actually make this entire effect and completely negate that. It's just there because it looks nice. And then again, we feed this into the emissive slot. And of course, we made sure that it was fully rough. We made sure that full precision was checked. And I also turned off use light map directionality. It makes it slightly cheaper, but in the end, it doesn't really matter because this isn't going to be accepting any light whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And this is it. This is the shader that powers this. Now, if I come back here, hold on. They redid the whole media player system, so I have to get a little familiar with how to use it again. So we're going to go here and, oops.
You need me to guinea pig? I can hold that while you get the...
No, I think I... crap.
You're rendering to the wrong screen
I also played it on the mobile, and I wanted...
We're going to have like 50 windows suddenly pop up.
There we go.
All right.
And now I have the SS Mace Windu flying around. And it looks like stereo. It does look like stereo. It's very hard to see. Alex can have a look if he would like to prove that I'm not lying, that it is, in fact,
I didn't come all the way out on the stream to not do VR stuff.
1 second.
There we go.
Let's go and get trippy. There you go.
Whoa. It's like I can reach out and touch it.
Stop. Get away.
Yeah, that's really cool. Oh, wow.
Here, you want some space mist?
Yeah, gross. You can actually see the mist coming out of the back end of it, so there you go. Oh, yeah, no, it's great. It's like being in a little movie theater and having like a giant screen in front of you.
Yep, and I know there's one, so I'm going to kick you out, Alex. You've been kicked out. So let me, one thing that I found was a little bit of a stumbling block for me when I was trying to get all this set up and working. In my side of my content folder, I have this movies folder, and inside the movie, you can see that I have, actually, I can show you guys this one if it will work. I don't think it's going to work unless we have VLC on here. And it looks like we don't. So I'll play you the Voyager video over here. That's the Voyager video right there. It's literally just a left and a right eye. Now you need to put this inside of a content folder called movies. Not movie, not videos, not clips, but movies with an S on the end, or Unreal will not recognize that there's data in that folder. The folder has to be specifically called movies. It has to be.
Capitalization, does that matter?
I have not.
It's capitalized in here, people.
I capitalize everything because I don't like the lowercase letters. It messes with my mojo. So
you're a capitalist?
I'm a capitalist. Capitalization in here doesn't matter, but I would keep the movies thing capitalized. It also goes, everything else in here is capitalized, so I went with that. I never tried it without capitalizing it. But it's very important. So basically all your movies go in here. And if you guys check out the media player framework, Wes Bunn rewrote all of those documents. I figured out how to get everything set up just by following those docs. When they switched everything around, I didn't know how it worked anymore. I just followed his docs, and I was able to get everything to work. Because literally all you're doing is you're just playing a movie file. You are just playing an MP4, and that's it. So anything that you would think that you would normally have to do to try to get something in VR to work, you're just playing a movie, so it removes a lot of the complication out of the process for you. Mm-hmm. Let's see, what else have we got here?
All right, well, we have quite a few questions that have been coming in here. Now, I know there's a few of these that we're not going to be able to answer. Some of these are just out of scope. I'm not sure why it was decided to have the engine be non-deterministic, but I'm pretty sure that was a design choice so that we have more randomized particles or something.
Well, I mean, deterministic is also something that you get when you use like 3D Max or you use some type of visual effects tool, because you want everything to happen the same, but you don't want everything to happen the same inside a video game. Just like you were saying,
that's probably
we want
just for
randomization.
natural, because no one wants to walk into the same scene and it's like the particle shoots off, but it's like, is this the same particle? Like everything feels like a cutscene, even though we're in 3D space.
One thing that I forgot about,
but I think you can control to
I'll
a
make a
certain
quick
degree.
particle here. There is the.
Yeah, you should have some controls over.
I forgot where it is. Where's the seated option? 1 second, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's it. Because if you have it using a seed, it will always use the same.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to find, and I can't remember off the top of my head which ones have seeds in them. And I think initial size might. Or is it on the parameter itself? I forgot which one where it went.
Checking documentation.
It's.
Oh yeah, no, it's stuff like in your velocity module. There's like initial velocity seed. So there are like seed version. No. Get rid of that. There's another one next to it.
Oh yeah, okay.
So there's like a seed version.
That's it
of a
right
lot
there.
of these.
Boom. That's what I was looking
that's
for.
the one that'll determine make it deterministic.
This is your random seed info. So you could give this a different random seed. And then I think you actually like click on your particles and you convert them to seeded parameters or something like that. Asset actions. There's a way to do it. I forgot how to do it because it's been a little while.
We'll have to have one of the particle guys come in here and do like a stream on seeded versus non-deterministic.
Yes, they can do this. So what I did is I used seeded particles when I was shooting the video for Showdown. Some of the GPU particles weren't firing off at the same rate, so I just seeded everything to make sure that everything on every run would more or less come out the same. Matt Stereo video blueprint. There actually isn't a video blueprint for the.
Oh, I guess it was just that blueprint you had earlier.
This is literally so for the stereo image viewer. I have it set up in this folder. It's literally just a maps. Materials. This is just a parent. This is the parent, and this is the instance, so you can quickly swap things in and out, or quickly do debug stuff. On this guy, you'll see I have the debug parameters right up here. This is so I can check to see if it's in stereo or out of stereo, or if something is going on, something isn't playing right. I have a single mesh, which is literally just a plane, and if we look at its UV, you can see that it's just been mapped in the 0 to 1 space, so that I can put the video on something. And then I have all of my content down here for all of my videos, which I need to clean up because I think I have too many video players. I think you only need one. So.
I did not know that.
I didn't either until I started opening them up, and I'm like, wait, this video player has 3 files in it, and this video player, whoops, that's not a video player. This video player has 3 files in it, so I'm assuming that you only need to have 1 video player. So I'm going to talk with Wes about that. I was just a little bit busy trying to get all this stuff wrapped up because I wasn't actually sure I was going to be able to get the stereo movie to work. I built it before in 4.12. With 4.13, that project exploded and no longer worked correctly. I wasn't really sure why, but after a little bit of just messing around with it this morning, I was able to get the material, this guy, to actually work again. And it's kind of funny because this thing I came up with in like 15, 20 minutes, and I worked on the other shader for like weeks. And this one actually works better.
That is.
And I also have to give a big shout out to Ryan Brooks. He was very instrumental in helping me understand some of this stuff. I had seen a more complex example of it, and there were some bits of the shader I didn't understand, so I called him down to have him explain some things to me. And because of that, because of his help, I was able to pull all of this stuff off. So, big shout out and big thanks to him. Let me see, what else do we have here? So somebody asked this, each time when I created a 360 screenshot, somehow it won't use my post-processing. Any solution for that? The only solution that I know of is to put in the code that the Ninja Theory guys gave you. It's inside of that
in that blog post.
In the blog post, it's linked. It's somewhere towards the bottom. It's literally a copy and paste job. You don't have to do anything else other than copy and paste that code. Make sure that you copied and pasted it correctly. You got all the correct braces and you didn't put it in the wrong location. You should just be able to recompile. I did the exact same thing this past Epic Friday. Everything worked out just fine. I didn't have any issues. Let me see. Do we got anything else?
They're just asking, okay, so Paperbat V Grox was asking if we seeded all the particle effects when you were talking about doing the A to B to C to D to A thing. If we had it all seeded, would that be fine to do in one go?
I would stay away from doing it all in one go. The other thing is this tool it's going to eat up your memory, both on your GPU and your CPU. So splitting it up, trying to do it all in one go, I tried to render out, Showdown at 4096 by 2048 for each eye. I started it on Friday night. It didn't finish rendering until Sunday morning. And that thing's only like 600 frames long or something like that. So it took a really long time because it's a really, really huge image that it's putting out. Now, luckily, Showdown is just one straight continuous line. However, if that would have crashed in the middle, I would have had to start all over. There would have been no way for me to successfully recover that video should it had started over. So, yes, you could go from A to B, B to C, C to D, D back to A. But if you get on the last 5 frames of going back, you're not going to be able to capture those last 5 frames. You're either going to have to do all of A to D again or do the entire thing again.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So
one way or the other, yeah, you're going to have like a little hitch there.
You'll have a little hitch. You could have a little hitch that you would need to correct for. Now, that's not to say that won't happen and you'll be lucky and the gods will, bestow upon you the awesomeness of getting a video that doesn't crash and everything goes together.
Seamless video.
Yes, and everything works great. And yes, that could happen. But when it's the 20th hour and you have a deadline, it's better to do things in a way more controlled manner where you have a lot better. Because another thing too, think about this. Say C to D crashes. Well, I have A to B, B to C. It's really easy for me to just remove one that crashed and then go back to the beginning or just end it there. If I was doing the entire run, it might end in half of one, or it might end at the beginning of one, or it might miss the last few frames of something. So splitting it up like that ensures that if anything does happen, you will still have something tangible from all the time that you spent.
Yeah. Okay, I could see how that's definitely more beneficial. So it's technically, yes, wouldn't recommend it just because of all the potential pitfalls that could happen along the way.
You got it.
So yeah, there's all that. Yeah, and then also it's just a lot easier to render out. You could be rendering out all 4 of those sections or 4 or 5 of those sections at the same time if you had multiple PCs versus trying to do it all as one continuous slow thing.
So this Noobs is Rubes?
Noobs Disrubes.
Noobs Disrubes?
Yeah, Noobs Disrubes. He's been around for a while. Hey, buddy.
He has one thing that says, can this method be used for top-bottom stereo as well? Yes, it can. It's literally just taking the images and I'm going to have it on the side. No, I'm going to have it on the top now.
Cut it and
then after this, I'm going to hopefully steal some of Clint's time if he's not too busy to try to figure out why I couldn't get the video to encode of Showdown. So he's got some theories. I was trying to do it in FFmpeg and it worked once, but it encoded at 320 by something, so it looked
weird.
Looked like somebody just smeared Vaseline all over it, and it's like, here you go, buddy. There you go. It's all good.
Yeah, getting back to that early 90s resolution.
Yeah.
The good stuff.
So that's it. I know it was a lot of information. I will be working on the docs on this. I cannot tell you when they're going to be done. Every time I try to sink my teeth into this, something else comes up, so I have to put it on the back burner. So luckily for you guys, though, that means the doc is actually already half written. I just have to clean it up a little bit, make a couple sections, make a new area for it to live in our documentation, and we'll go from there.
Alrighty. Let's see. That's sorry. All right. That looks like it's all the questions we have for right now. Thank you all so much for coming out. Right. Thank you. So, Clint is kind enough over here to remind me that we're going to start hosting Michael Aller's live stream of the various UE4 Jam games. He's been playing through all of them. It's intense. It's just been like this ongoing process. He does it for hours and hours on end. So we're going to wrap it up here. And then we're going to just bring Aller on, or we're going to host Aller's stream. And so feel free to just kind of chill out, keep watching. It'll be a lot of fun, I think. And that's it. And then, yeah, we'll see you guys on Thursday. I'm going to let you know right now we're going to get a post out in a few minutes, but it's going to be on the VR editor improvements. We're going to have Lauren, and we're going to have hopefully Mike also on, depending on scheduling. But Lauren should at least be here. We're going to leave this Oculus here, and we're going to get the touch controllers out. And we're going to have a crazy fun time in the VR editor showing off all the new features. So there's that.
That's it. If you guys got any questions, make sure you post to the forums.
That too.
I always look at the forums, especially when I'm rendering stuff out. It gives me something to do because I can't really touch my computer while I'm doing this. So.
And you know, like when code's compiling and all that, we don't have like the jousting fights on chairs and stuff like we would like to be having. So, you know,
they don't know that.
We have Nerf gun fights, but we don't have like the chair jousts. But yes, so feel free to throw questions out on the events section of the forums. And of course, send me your feedback anytime. And if you have any items that you'd like to have spotlighted on our Thursday streams, send me those as well.
And I will work with Alex to try and get this project up there as soon as possible for you guys to have a look at.
And you can dissect it. It'll be really fun. Cool.
Alrighty. Thanks, guys. See you next time.